This video is for people asking about the trunk mount battery. You get these as a kit. Do your research, because the battery in the front is really the best, safest place for it to be. Being in the back, if you get in an accident and that positive wire hits the chassis, you could have a fire. So just do your research. You will get better traction if you shift the weight of the battery to the back. That's a fact. Don't do what I have here. You got to mount it properly. You get the brackets. I have the kit. I didn't install it yet to bolt this to the body. So right now it's just tied up. But this is where I have it. Another good spot is right down here where the spare goes. It fits right in there. First thing you really got to have is a good ground. All right, that's the ground cable. It usually comes with the kits that you can get. Make sure you ground to the chassis. Do not ground to the body. You have to ground to the chassis, and you don't have to do any drilling or anything. I ran it up this way. It goes right down here in this this well down here. There's holes already, and I went to down here. You can see up there, hopefully. Right there is the chassis. That's where the ground goes. Right there. Just clean off any rust or paint that you have. Make sure you get a good ground connection, because that's going to be your main ground. It's got to be a big fat wire. Ground that real good. Okay, then you're going to have to take out the back seat. Not a big deal. So you just run the positive wire right there. You're going to go all the way up to the front. You got to go to your starter. Don't go anywhere else. Go to your starter. So you're going to go this, with the kits you get extra wire, so there's plenty of wire. And you just go down there behind your back seat. Okay, and you'll have to take out the back seat, which is, hopefully you do know. Bottom seat you just push in and pop it out, and then the back seat you have 2 torque screws down there, bolts. They hold that in. The only reason you got to take it out is so that you can get to, let me move this. You just need to get that wire. You're going to go down behind the back seat, right down behind the back seat. Just take off your interior plastic. It fits right behind there. It'll go under the seat. You can't see it because it's hidden. It'll go under your back seat. Take off the little kick plate. It fits right under this. No problem. Plenty of room under there. Goes here. If you have the computer, it's a little tight, but it can be done. Hopefully, if you don't, this where the computer is it's hollow. So you just would come under the kick plate here, right under the computer, and you go right out, right there. That's right here is where your computer wires are. So if you don't have the computer, you have a big hole here. You fit right through the firewall. If not, you may have to drill. There may be holes there already. You can do it with your computer. It's going to go right through here, right through your firewall, right down to your starter. Okay, now that would be right down there. Now if you have heat or air conditioning, this is all filled in. You can do it from underneath the car. I used to have heat and air conditioning in here, so it can be done, but it would pop out down there. That's the positive. It's down there. And then I ran it inside, it's just rubber hose just to keep it away from the headers. Doesn't touch, doesn't get cooked, but that's the positive wire is in there. It goes all the way down to the starter. There's the starter down there. You gotta go to the starter. Hopefully I can show you the starter if I can find it. Now I don't have a lift, so it's a little tight. There's a happy place down here. Okay, let's find this bad boy. Where are you? There's the starter. Okay, where is it? There you go. So that is right there. That's the positive wire that comes all the way from the trunk right to the starter, and then you can tap off your anything for your car, your accessories, whatever you need, you know, obviously you need positive to run the rest of the car. So that's what these other red wires are. They go back up into the car to give 12 to the car. You need to have it at the starter because when you start your car, you want all the current to go to your starter to turn your motor over. That's why we go straight to it, and then you tap off from there. Okay, I'll try to show you the ground. Just again, bear with me. This car is like ridiculously low. Man. Okay. See, you can do anything, you don't need a lift. Okay, so the other thing you need is your ground. Okay, chassis is grounded. Don't forget you gotta ground your block. A lot of guys forget that. So that's a fat ground wire going straight to the block. Your block's only got these are rubber motor mounts. Most people have rubber. Not really a good way to ground your motor. So you gotta have a wire. Ground your block, and then you want to ground your body. A lot of grounds to the body. You can't really see them. They're all hidden, but make sure you ground your entire body. So tie your body to your chassis with wires. This way you avoid a lot of weird headaches, things shutting off on you, things not working properly. You do need that. Okay, then there's just a couple things I did want to show. The other thing, get back in the car. You saw the starter had the positive wire and then came back. What I did, you're gonna have most guys will have a heater box under here, so you'll have to do it somewhere else. But I have a that bolt there, that bolt right there is a that comes up from my starter so that I can run 12 volt to the rest of the car. So that's how you kind of tie back into your existing Gbody, because everything's under the dashboard. So that runs to my fuse panel. This is my own fuse panel that I made, but I do have the stock one still hooked up as well. So this is how you get the positive all the way back to everything else in your car. So you're gonna go from the trunk to the starter to whatever pre-existing wires are in the car, which normally would go to your battery or even your alternator, and you can still leave them connected at the alternator. I'm gonna show that next. Now the alternator, okay. Now my alternator, I got it, it's twisted, but a lot of guys running a single wire alternator. I don't understand that. You need a 3-wire alternator. There's 2 terminals here, right? Now the number 2, I'm sorry, the number 1 is down there. That's the lower wire. I don't have the proper connector on there, but anyway, the number 1 turns the alternator on. The number 2 is, I see a lot of guys, they run this straight into their battery, which normally your battery, you guys will have the battery is over here. I think this is where the Gbody battery is, I forget. So most guys are running this this number 2 terminal straight to the battery. The point of this terminal here is to tell the alternator that you got low voltage, so that it can output even more, so it can charge your battery up and keep your car running. So you really want that wire. You want that wire to go as far away from this alternator as it can be. You don't want it to go straight to your battery. You normally want to run it all the way to the ass end of your car. But if you have your battery in your trunk, well, that's where you want to run this to. So I ran this wire, comes all the way up, well, all the way back. All the way back, and it's here. It's one of these red wires. It comes right to my terminal here. So this way my alternator can measure the voltage at the battery and say, well, it's a little low back here, and charge it up. And that's why putting it in the trunk not always the best idea, because you got, I don't know what, 13, 14, 15 feet of red wire running to the front. So you got 12 volts here. By the time you get to the front of your car, you might be down to 11, 10.5 volts because you're losing voltage in this wire here. So that sense wire lets the alternator output higher so it can charge this back here, and you'll have more voltage up front. So you might want to make sure you have that. 3-wire alternators is the way to go. And that's pretty much it. Again, you get they have metal mounting kits that'll tie this battery down. It's a pretty straightforward job. You do get a lot of extra space. And then you got your ground wire. You need that to your chassis. Positive wire just goes through the back seat, up through here, up through your whole kick plate, all that, and then straight down to your alternator. And it can be done even with the heater, which would normally be here. I don't have that, so it's a lot easier to work with. And that hole, you get rid of those computer wires, you have tons of room to run everything through there. And that's it. So that's the battery in the trunk kit. If you have any questions, just post them on the YouTube video. I do respond.